Greetings and welcome to the Knife Magazine YouTube channel. Today, a quick review of the September 2022 edition of Knife Magazine. Our cover story this month is on Michael W. Silvey. Mike Silvey is the author of many books on military knives, which you cleverly see here in the background. Thanks, Katie, for that wonderful design. Mike Silvey has been an important member of the knife community for many years, has authored all these different books and a few more on U.S. military knives that you see here in the background, and has been a knife maker for many years. A lot of people know him as a knife maker but don't know as much about his military knife background, or they know him for his books but don't realize that he makes knives. Mike's knives are often inspired by historical designs like this Randall-inspired knife and Skagel-inspired knife, but he also does knives inspired by modern custom knife makers and things that are just completely unique. So it's about time someone addressed Mike Silvey as a knife maker. And that's what we've done here. As always, thanks to our advertisers who've supported us for many, many years. Without them, Knife Magazine could not and would not exist. Here's Case and QSP, but as I flip through the pages, you'll see many, many others. When you call them up, tell them you saw their ad in Knife Magazine. So, table of contents with all the usual content. Our contributors. Here's the start of that article on Mike Silvey. Now, this article was written by Jim Sornberger, who is a member of the Cutlery Hall of Fame, recent inductee, and a very skilled knife maker in his own right. Jim and Mike are both Californians, and this article goes into great detail with a lot of information about his history and how he got into knife making, and a lot of photographs of his work in his shop. The different examples. Here we have a Loveless inspired knife and some knives using antique handle material. Randall up top there. Fairbairn Sykes inspired knife. All about Mike's work, the sort of thing he does and why he does it the way he does. Another featured article this month is The History of Sears Roebuck & Company Pocket Knives by Neil Punchard and Duncan Morgan. Neil has been writing for us. Duncan is new to us, but Neil's been writing for us for many, many years. He's also the author of a number of books, including Art of the Switchblade, co-author of a book on Latama. He's written a book on Boker knives and another on Henkel's knives, both of which we stock. A long-time contributor to the magazine with articles and such, and his son has too. I hope we get some more articles from Neil's son Christopher as well. So among the brands associated with Sears Roebuck and Company, of course, are Craftsman, the famous tool brand, but also Wilbert, Stay Sharp, High Carbon Steel, Forged USA are markings you might find on Sears knives. You probably have, if you collect antique pocket knives, you probably have Sears knives in your collection and don't even realize that's where they came from. The old ones had often wonderful etching, bone handles, really high quality knives, as you can see in these pictures. Everything here, bone handled, etched. Here's a Schrade contract, Camillus contract, Camillus. Really fine knives. What Is It has been a feature of Knife Magazine. And before it, Knife World since 1978. Cutlery Hall of Famer Bernard Levine writes that. We appreciate his contribution each month. This month's featured knives include a Stanhope knife for C.F. Blanky and Company of St. Louis. Another champagne pattern here that advertises Quaker-made whiskey. Always interesting historical knives. Ron Fluke, who is the author of British and Commonwealth Military Knives and a wonderful book on the Fairbairn Sykes knife that I can't remember the exact title to right now. There's so many books on the FS, the titles kind of get jumbled in my head. So Ron continues to contribute to us particularly on British and Commonwealth military knives, and in this case, Fairbairn Sykes oddities, such as this one with an E etch on the blade that nobody knows what it means, a guardless model that appears to have been made that way at the factory, unusual etchings, a Canadian-made variation that we really don't know too much about. Little details for those collectors of Fairbairn Sykes knives. Our field trial this month is by Woody Offit, as he has written it for over 20 years. A field trial is essentially a knife review where he tests it and puts it through the paces in different cutting situations, corrosion, handling, you know, sheaths, all about the knife, and comes with a conclusion of what he thinks about it. So in this case, it's Spyderco Jumbo this month. Each month, we have a column from either the Knife Makers Guild or the American Bladesmith Society. It's the Guild this month, written by Jason Fry, and he tells us about what's happening in the Knife Makers Guild, some different ideas about knife making, but primarily information about the Guild. Each month we have a center spread on custom knives shot by professional photographers with people primarily in the US, but also Canada and all over the world. We often have some Australians in there thanks to the photographs we're getting from Rod Hoare here. Our center spread, you can call it a centerfold if you like, appears in the middle of the magazine, so all you have to do is pop it out and you have a nice small poster for your shop, your man cave, or whichever. Each month we have a knife news column which addresses not only new releases such as those by, in this case, Hogue and Cold Steel, but also news from around the knife world. This month that includes Buster Wierenski's King Tut dagger going up for sale. This was once the most expensive knife ever sold, and it's not cheap today. Asking price $500,000. Knife for deep pockets. We also lost 3 influential figures in the knife community this month. Ron Stewart, who has written many books on collecting knives, collecting straight razors. Ron passed away in July. Jefferson Spivey, the designer of the saber-tooth knife and the author of the book Wind Drinker, passed. And Burt Gaston, former Arkansas master smith, member of the ABS board of directors, and just a really wonderful guy who supported education all of his career in the knife business. We have a very interesting article this month by Jamin Brackett of North Carolina who titled this article, Escaping the Vacuum. Take a knife making class to get yourself out of the rut. Jamin is a knife maker himself, right here, and he found himself in a rut last year, so he decided to try something different and to take a knife making class, which he did with Chris Williams of Wilmot Grinders, Wilmot Forge. Of course, there are courses offered by knife makers all over the country, the American Bladesmith Society, I could go on and on. But this is a particular course that he took on making a Damascus chef's knife, making the Damascus, which is something he'd not done before. And so it sort of took him out of his comfort zone, and he explained what the process was like, what the experience was like, and how it affects him as a knife maker. Really an interesting take on things and some great photography. Each month we include columns from both Knife Rights and the American Knife and Tool Institute, which they take different tacks, and the Knife Rights column tends to be about the current legislation and that sort of thing, whereas the ACTI column lately has been talking about sort of big picture approaches to knife laws, what's out there, and how these existing laws cause problems of various kinds and what might be done to correct them. So this month, Swords and Sensibilities and updates from the knife legislation arena. Here's another Cutlery Hall of Famer. This each month, J. Bruce Voiles contributes 2 columns to Knife Magazine. This one is his editorial column, so I don't have to write an editorial column. Bruce does them way better than I ever did anyway. Don't forget our video on the John Davis custom drop point giveaway, which is coming up soon. And here's Bruce's second column, which this month is on the first knives of Parker Edwards, the first Damascus steel production knives made in the United States, made in the world, really. Edgewise is a column dedicated to knife values each month. So here we have a history of Parker Edwards, how it came to be. Bruce was there when it happened, and what the knives are worth today. Interesting little collectible, and it wouldn't take too long to put together a complete collection of these knives. Finally, our events calendar, back here on page 48 each month. This is the largest calendar in the knife community, except for the one on our website, which is even bigger because we can't fit it all on one page. I've heard from the other knife magazines, and it's obvious when you look at them that their calendar is based on our calendar. Nothing wrong with that. But this is where the news comes in first. Go check it out here. Go check it out on our website. Our events calendar is free on the website. Classified page has been with us for a long time. And we get back to our book page, which is always in the very back. We carry a diverse selection of books on knives, many of which, if you're not a member of the knife community to where you're really with the in crowd and are aware of what's going on with knife books, you've probably never heard of the existence of most of these. They tend to be low production and available for a limited time, and then they're gone. And those are the books we specialize in. We specialize in the obscure, detailed, really good book. We don't carry anything that's junk. You can go to Amazon for your knife books, but I guarantee you that Amazon doesn't know anything about knife books. Thanks to Jantz Knife Making Supplies, and of course all the other advertisers that you've seen in all these pages, they make Knife Magazine happen. And finally, of course, Bluegrass Cutlery, who has occupied the back page of Knife World and Knife Magazine for over 30 years now. Couldn't do it without you. So that's what the September 2022 edition of Knife Magazine looks like. Thank you for coming by the Knife Magazine YouTube channel. And if you get any of these other knife magazines, check us out. You'll find that we're different. We're different for a reason. And if you are a serious knife collector, I think you'll love what we do.